Ya Ali Madad. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. My name is Layla Ratnani and I will be your host for this evening. Before I share the program for tonight, here are some highlights of the board activities this week. Tomorrow we begin with the Golden Club at 12:30 p.m, consisting of faith and well-being talks. In the afternoon at 2 p.m, join the Aga Khan Education Board for an informative session where you will learn tips and techniques on how to read to your children. This will help them develop communication skills that are necessary to succeed in the future. This session is entitled, Reading for Children is Magical. Stories take you to different places and times and open up a world of imagination. The best part is, your child is learning. Tomorrow's session at 1 p.m. is in Farsi. Please see social media for the Zoom details. The next session in this series, which will be in German, will be on Sunday 25th April at 4 p.m. At 4 p.m. tomorrow, join the Youth Club Network's Show Me How series, which is celebrating World Health Day. Get ready to make a healthy and delicious mung bean curry with suraya. It's simple, plant-based, and packed full of nutrients. Register via the Ismaili app. On Tuesday, join Parviz for the weekly chair and standing exercises at 11 a.m. On Wednesday at 8 p.m, join the Women's Activities Portfolio and the Aga Khan Health Board for the next Preparing for Parenthood webinar, where we will be discussing you and your baby's health journey, right from the early days of pregnancy, the delivery of your baby, through to key health milestones in your baby's first steps of life. There will also be an opportunity to connect with other parents at the end of the session. If you're thinking about having a baby or are in the first few weeks of pregnancy or further along, this session is for you. As mentioned earlier, Wednesday 7th April marks World Health Day. The World Health Organization, WHO, celebrates World Health Day to highlight the importance of holistic health. Being holistically healthy means feeling well, physically, mentally, emotionally, intellectually, and socially. We are fortunate to be living in a country where we have access to the healthcare via the NHS. The Aga Khan Health Board would like to remind you of the importance of seeking help from your GP if you notice any signs or symptoms of not feeling well. It is important that you register with a local GP practice, dentist, and opticians, and to carry out routine checkups. Please visit the NHS website for more information on how to access healthcare in your local area, and keep an eye on social media for more information from their health board. Another physical exercise class this week is Bolly Beats, which will be on Thursday at 8 p.m. with the beginners class, and 8:30 p.m. for the intermediate class, for anyone wishing to keep fit and stay active. From Thursday 8th April until 16th June, the Aga Khan Foundation is excited to announce the opening of a new outdoor photography exhibition on Granary Square in London's King's Cross, called The Silk Road, A Living History. This exhibition invites you to take a 40,000-kilometre journey from London to Beijing, encountering many of the people, places, and cultures found along this ancient trade route. The show presents some of the cultural wonders encountered on the Silk Road, explores how historical customs live on today, and reveals some of the connections between what appear at first glance to be very different cultures. Additionally, the exhibition tells the story of AKF and the broader Aga Khan Development Network efforts to improve the quality of life across social, economic, and cultural spheres in Central, South Asia, and the Middle East. The exhibition is free and open to the public from 8th April until 16th June. We hope to see you there. The Aga Khan Education Board have an English language program called My Language Journey, an online course with a live teacher for 1 hour a week. Any level can apply to join, and we have students as young as 9 all the way through to 60 joining. We currently have 180 students enrolled. That's 30 more since our last update. And these students are joining from all different backgrounds, from India, Pakistan, Syria, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, and from all over Europe. Class times vary per level, but are flexible to make it easier for the students to join. We would love to welcome even more students, so if you want to learn the basics or prepare for university or work, please contact the Aga Khan Education Board or email them at mlj.akeb@iiuk.org. The Aga Khan Education Board are also looking for teachers to teach English as volunteers. If you can speak Hindi, Gujarati, Arabic or Farsi, that would be an added advantage. If you are interested, once again, please contact the Aga Khan Education Board or email them at mlj.akeb@iiuk.org. And finally, the Aga Khan Youth and Sports Board is pleased to invite you to the first installment of the online chess tournament of 2021. All ages are welcome to test their skills against fellow members of the Jamaat in this quick-fire tournament next Sunday, 11th April at 5 to 7 p.m. To register, sign up via the Ismaili app. And now, on to tonight's program. Tonight we share another episode of our series, Through the Keyhole. Throughout the pandemic, as you may know, our institutions have been working tirelessly to support the Jamaat. We shared our first episode in February, and tonight it's time for our second. I hope you enjoy tonight's program. Now join me as we go through the keyhole. Ya Ali Madad. My name is Layla Ratnani, and I am hosting tonight's second episode of the recently launched series, Through the Keyhole. This series takes a look back at the institutional activity in the last month and will act as a highlight of all the incredible work being done within the Ismaili community. In the first episode a few weeks ago, we covered the theme of continuing education, something for everyone, where we looked at continued education for various groups, including children, parents, adults, and really everyone. Tonight's themes are related to continuous health and financial care, both of which are ever more prevalent in today's climate. To end the episode, we will also be looking into the theme of uplifting content. And now, we begin the theme of continuous health. Whilst we continue to see a fall in the rate of COVID infections and deaths, we must not become complacent. The Aga Khan Health Board have been sharing lots of information on both the virus and the vaccines through Al Saha on social media and through the Ismaili UK website. In the recent Talika Mubarak received by Maulana Hazar Imam on the occasion of Nowruz, he mentioned that with the success in producing effective vaccines, human societies around the world are looking with a sense of hope and optimism to emerging from the COVID-19 pandemic. Maulana Hazar Imam went on to say that all my murids should accept to be vaccinated in accordance with the directives of their respective health authorities as soon as the vaccines are offered, as indeed he has done so already. Let's hear from the chairperson of the Health Board, Akbar Dala, as he shares more on the vaccine, so we all have the right information, not misinformation, to make a personal decision based on the hope that the vaccine will give, rather than the fear of taking it.
Indeed, the vaccine is our ray of hope to get us out of this pandemic and resume at least some of the lifestyle that we were once so used to. reunited with our families and friends, going back to Jamaat Khana, eating out, traveling again. In other words, all of the higher risk groups are being offered the vaccine in the initial stages. You will be invited by the NHS or directly by your healthcare practitioner to attend a vaccination center when it is your turn. The vaccine will be administered in 2 doses, 12 weeks apart. Very good protection is obtained 2 weeks after the first dose, and then you must take the second dose to give you long-term protection.
I just went to sleep throughout. When I got up in the morning, I couldn't believe that I had slept all night and all evening.
Great.
But I was fine. I had
Thank
no
you.
problems, no side effects, nothing. I was just normal. My daughter phoned me. Mom, how are you? How are you feeling? I said, I'm fine. She said, you know what, Mom? When I went to get my jab, she's a doctor. She said, my arm hurt for 2 days. I couldn't lift it. You are lucky that nothing happened to you.
એક રૂમની અંદર મને મોકલી દીધી એને. તો ત્યાં નર્સ કે ડોક્ટર જે હતા એ લોકોએ મને ઇન્જેક્શન માર્યો. ખબરે ના પડી કે ઇન્જેક્શન લાગ્યું છે. It was so nice અને polite, એટલું fine રીતે લાગ્યું. Anyway, પતી ગયું તો ઘરે આવી. 15 મિનિટ બેસીને પછી હું ઘરે આવી. એ દિવસે ખબર ના પડી. પણ બીજે દિવસે જ્યારે હું ઉઠી ત્યારે મારું હેડ માથું જરા હેવી લાગતું હતું. તો મને થયું કે માથું દુખતું નથી પણ હેવી લાગતું હતું. મેં કીધું ઓકે, ચાય નાસ્તો કર્યો. બપોર પછી એ માથાનું હેવી અને સતું બધું નિકળી ગયું. હાથ દુખતો હતો. એ મને 2 દિવસ સુધી હાથ લાગ્યો કાંઈક ઊંચો કરો તો મને દુખે એમ, એટલે હાથ દુખતો હતો. 2 દિવસ પછી એ બી મટી ગયું. પછી બીજો એ લોકો એપોઇન્ટમેન્ટ મને આપ્યો તો 11th of January, same time. This is a second one. તે એ જગાએ ગઈ, પૂછ્યું બધું અને 5 મિનિટ પછી મને અંદર બોલાવી, બીજો ઇન્જેક્શન આપ્યું મારે. આ જમણા હાથમાં હતું તો ડાબા હાથમાં લગાવ્યો મેં, કરાવ્યો. પછી બસ હું ઘરે આવી, બધું પતી ગયા પછી. અને બીજે દિવસે મારા પગ થોડા દુખવા માંડ્યા.
Well, the first question I want to ask is to you, Shamez. So what assurance can you give us about the safety and effectiveness of the vaccine?
Okay, so there has been a lot in the news about the safety of this vaccine, and it is as safe as any other vaccine that has been licensed.
If you have any further questions regarding the virus or the vaccinations, please contact a member of the Health Board who are in the IRUK directory. Call the COVID helpline or speak to your local Jamaati Mukhi Kamria. And of course, your local healthcare professionals will be able to answer any questions relating to any long-term health conditions. The second theme of tonight's episode is on COVID and your career. This clip that we will now watch is from the Women's Activities Portfolio and their sisterhood sessions. This one is called Navigating Changes at Work, Rise Up. Let's hear from Nazreen Visram, the head of charities for Barclays Bank, and the impact COVID has had on that industry, as well as the impact COVID has had on her working life.
My name is Nazreen Visram. I am the head of charities at Barclays. I've been in the corporate space now for 15 years. And I've got to say, this is probably one of the most unusual years of my kind of working career. I tend to be in the office sort of 4 days a week and work 1 day from home. And since March of this year, since the lockdown happened, I have been working from home. So for the past 7 months, I've literally been at my desk in my office at home. And it's been a real change. And we're going to explore some of those sort of changes and emotions as we go through this session. But it's been really busy working in the banking sector, because being part of the charity sector, you will know that charities have been heavily impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. And just to give you some scope, it's estimated that charities will lose around £12.4 billion worth of income that they need to deliver services to the most vulnerable in society. So we've been supporting a lot of our charity clients through this time. And equally, I just read a stat today that actually 7 million people in the next 12 months will seek support from a charity. And 3 out of 5 of those people will be doing it for the first time. So the huge pressure on the charity sector is immense as we go into the next 12 months. So my job, along with my team, is to really support them with banking services and help them with all sorts of challenges that they face. I manage a virtual team, so I'm one of 90 people, part of the leadership team. We've got members of the team all across the country, so that's been a challenge, managing people virtually. And to be really open, some of my team have had to navigate some real personal issues. So I've got people living on their own and have been working from home on their own for some time, people isolating because they're high risk. I've had lots of members of my team with real well-being challenges. I've got single parents in my team who've had to work and homeschool their child. So it's been really interesting for me as a leader of these people to really support them and help them and enable them to do their job to the best of their ability. And at the same time, be able to do my job, homeschool my child and manage a home. So I think, I'll pause there because there's lots I could probably talk about around my experiences over the past 6-7 months.
I don't know about you, but I definitely resonate with what Nazreen was talking about. Having to navigate changes at work through the pandemic has been tough. For example, I often find myself working longer hours now at home, compared to when I went into the office pre-COVID. But it's always good to remember the support and networks available to you, not just your friends and family, but within the Ismaili community and all of our institutions. We now hear from Natasha Chatur, a work happiness coach from the same sisterhood session, as she shares her story of leaving her corporate job after 15 years to set up her business back in January 2020.
Hello everyone, I'm Natasha, the work happiness coach. So this year I've had quite different work changes in a couple of ways. I left my corporate job last year after 15 years and left the corporate world entirely to set up my business, which I started as a full-time coach in January this year. So my job was already kind of fully working from home, but it was the first time I was working on my own. So I didn't have, a manager or the teammates or kind of the wider departments and teams that I was used to. And this became kind of much more pronounced for me in COVID. And I needed real immense discipline and perseverance to keep working on my business every day, even though I wasn't seeing the return that I'd planned. And, everyone's been going through something. I certainly felt the distinction of having come from that environment, having to cope with the emotional fallout of what was happening to my business on my own day to day. I had to be quite reactive and adapt to a changing landscape. I had quite a decent amount of work planned for March through to May, which disappeared overnight. It had taken me three months to build up. I had to pivot my business from working with businesses as a primary target audience because, HR departments were just in chaos, and pivoted to working or targeting individuals rather, because as a result of COVID, lots of people were reflecting on work and how happy they were and feeling stuck and finding it tricky to navigate those feelings. I had to reforecast my revenue potential and my cash flow and all those kinds of admin-y things that I was doing for the first time, and I was doing them for the first time in a global pandemic. So there was a lot of quick shifts, for networking and building relationships that I needed to do. And working on my own and living on my own, I think without access to my social life, to face-to-face interactions, the usual kind of release and energy I get from socializing, from traveling, from meeting people, I kind of didn't have any of that either. So when it comes to my changes at work, it's been a roller coaster ride, and I do have more of a sense of emotional stability and some business certainty starting to appear, which is really, really helpful. But I think I'm still on guard, if you like, with what else might come.
To leave a job and start your own business, to then be hit with a pandemic, must have been extremely tough. Hats off to you, Natasha. You're doing an amazing job. The next clip we'll see is from the Aga Khan Economic Planning Board and one of their 3-part series on restructuring and protection of assets. This session shared top tips for directors during uncertain times, the do's and don'ts, if you will. Ambuja Bose, Insolvency Recovery and Restructuring Team Leader at VWV Solicitors, and Ian Robert, Insolvency and Restructuring Team Leader at Moore Kingston Smith, explore different topics and scenarios that company directors have been faced with during this global pandemic. During this 3-part presentation, both experts explain the liabilities and pitfalls facing directors and the best practice to move forward and navigate through this tough economic climate.
I thought I'd start off by asking you, it's a very difficult time to be a director of any company at the moment, but particularly those companies that are involved in the hospitality or retail sectors. What would be the top tip that you would give a director of a company in these challenging times?
Okay, well, that's a very good question. I think when this all started some sort of 9 months ago, I don't think anyone could have expected we'd still be in pretty well the same position as we are now, possibly a worse position. There's been a lot of government support, and that has enabled companies to continue along a path of not really understanding where they're going to go and where they're going to come out the other end. And as a result of that, I think companies have needed to try and find a lot of funding. I mean, cash flow is always the most important thing. As they say, cash is king. And managing your cash flow and getting advice is always the 2 most important things I can tell any director to do at any time. I think it's particularly focused at the moment on the fact that it's taking a lot longer to get to the other side, and therefore businesses, particularly in the hospitality and retail sector, are looking to find ways of funding shortfalls from the huge reductions in income compared to perhaps the support that they're getting on the expenses side. I'm trying to fund the gap, and they've gone to bounce back loans and CBILS loans, which have been quite easily attainable. But my concern is that directors are taking those loans without really giving much thought as to how they pay them back, when they pay them back.
That was incredibly insightful. And remember, company directors can contact the Economic Planning Board at akepb@iiuk.org to speak to Ambuja Bose or Ian Robert directly, and where the first consultation will be free of charge. Continuing the theme of COVID and careers, the Ismaili Student Network ran a brand new series called Skillshare, giving students a platform to discuss learnings from their respective degrees to share with the wider Jamaat. This episode is hosted by Ahil Damani. Ahil is currently doing a Master's in Control of Infectious Diseases at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine as part of his intercalation before returning to complete his medical degree at King's. Let's hear from Ahil.
My name's Ahil Damani, and a bit of background about me. I am a medical student at King's College London, so I've completed 3 years of my studies already, and I'm currently doing an intercalation. And people always ask me, what do you mean intercalation? Are you not studying medicine? After the 3rd year of your study, you get a year dedicated to studying something that you're really passionate about. So it could be management, it could be anatomy if you think you want to become a surgeon, it could be primary care, it could be medical anthropology. It's really up to you. And what you study in this year does not determine what you become when you're older, or what specialty you go into. But it's really an opportunity to just really try something new. And so I'm doing my intercalation in control of infectious diseases at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. Now, I know exactly what you're all thinking. Did you choose that because of COVID-19? And don't worry, I will come on to that. So it was actually English language GCSE back at school a number of years ago. And you're probably wondering, English language? And that's correct. So for my English language coursework, I had to do the coursework on a non-fiction topic, something real, not made up, no novels, no poems. And I was struggling to come up with a topic. And my dad, he was reading the papers, and there was a piece in the FT about the Ebola virus. This was at the time where the Ebola virus was getting some serious media coverage. And so as someone interested in science and medicine, my dad took that piece out for me and said, oh, he'll have a read. And I read it and I thought, wow, that's fascinating. And there was also a feature in the FT by MSF, Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders. And that was also on the Ebola virus. And so then I thought, that's great. Thanks for sorting my coursework out for me, Dad. And I eventually went on and did the coursework on it. That involved reading various newspaper articles, scientific papers, and a book called The Red Zone by Richard Preston, a book that I encourage you all to read, especially as we're in the middle of a pandemic. And then, of course, like 45% of you said, biology was another subject which was partly responsible, for getting me interested into public health. Those of you who've studied biology at GCSE or A-level remember the antibiotic resistance questions, the Petri dishes with those small circles. That also got me interested. And then at medical school, I've got to say, there wasn't, much infectious diseases in the curriculum. There was 1 week in my 3 years, but we did have a fair amount of teaching on epidemiology and public health in first year. And to me, that was amazing. Yes, medicine, you can make a difference to the patient's lives. And I love medicine, clinical medicine. But ultimately, I found that the notion of informing policies on a larger scale, possibly improving the lives of millions of people at a time, was amazing. And so that's what led me to doing this master's, combining the clinical aspects of infectious diseases, so what makes a patient unwell, as well as the public health aspect, informing policies, looking at the epidemiology to inform decisions. And of course, it's a growing problem going forwards, as we're seeing right now.
Wow, that was enlightening and very informative. Good luck in your Masters, Ahil. For more information or to hear about other Ismaili Student Network events, you can email info@isn.org.uk. Now, on to our final theme for this episode, uplifting content. We start this theme with the Youth Club Network's Show Me How series. This series involves a talented member of our Jamaat who each week shows our youth a new skill. The clip we are about to watch is a Show Me How on Zentangle art by Sharmin Malik. Let's find out why it's called Zentangle art, along with some examples.
Let me introduce this art to you. This is called Zentangle art. Anyone wondering why it's called Zentangle? If you want any thoughts coming to your mind, if you want to share, why is it called Zentangle? Okay, so I'm going to show you some examples of a Zentangle art, how it looks. So Zentangle art, some of it looks basically like this. This is a very simple heart, and then I've divided it into different sections, and I have put different designs in this beautiful heart. It could be anything. Basically, Zentangle could be anything. These are called patterns. And in each section, we keep repeating the patterns. And that's why it's called Zentangle. And like you can see, it could be something like this. You can write a message in the center in bubble writing or in, any block writing that you like. Divide the rest of the paper into different sections and create different patterns in each section. Now, generally, there are Zentangle coloring books, mandala coloring books, and this is very similar to mandala, but it's just free flowing. Like there are no rules in this, no circular patterns to be followed. They can be colorful as well. So once you create the patterns, you can color in with your sketch pens, Sharpies, color pens, gel pens, color pencils, whatever you feel like. So I did this autumn leaf. It could be something as simple as this. Whatever pattern you feel like, you can create tangles and designs in this. Let me show you. This one I created. I just put an S for Charmaine. I just wrote S, and then I divided the whole page into different sections, and I put different designs. Now this art is very relaxing. It is very calming. It is really a de-stress, and anyone, from kids to anyone can do this. Anyone can enjoy this art. There is something like this that you can do. You can write a message that connects with you in the center, and it's there, be kind to you. And then you divide the rest of the paper into different sections, and then we put different patterns. Now these patterns could be anything like dots, triangles, curves, lines, whatever you feel that comes to your mind right now. So it could be something like this. There could be swirls, you can put nice hearts, there could be flowers, there could be curves, anything. You could put stars, snowflakes, whatever you feel like. So that is all about Zentangle. It's not necessary that this art has to be black and white. They could be colorful. You can create it like I created this black and white. And then, if you just want to practice little mindfulness, you can sit and color this. But I like it this way. I don't like to color much, but and you don't need to create this art with black. Okay, you can use any of your colorful sketch pens also to create this art. Any sketch pens, any color pencils would do, any Sharpies that you have, anything. If you want to make it colorful, it's up to you. And okay, let me just tell you a little bit of history about the origin of Zentangle art. So Zentangle art is American style of art. It was created in America. The exact dates are not known, but it was created by a couple who their names was Rick and Maria. And Rick was a monk and Maria was an artist. So Maria used to practice a lot of art, and she used to do a lot of lettering, calligraphy, and things like that. And one day, while Maria was sitting and doing her lettering, she got so involved with her lettering thing that she started creating patterns in the letters. And then Rick came and asked her, how do you feel about this? So she said, I feel very calm. I feel very peaceful. And so that's how the name came, Zentangle, because Rick was a monk and Zen is literally the state of mind. So at that time, Maria was feeling really peaceful and calm. So, and tangles are like patterns we create. So that's how Zentangle art came into being. So these were the two people, and lots of people connected with this art, and then this art got its name.
That looked amazing. If that looked like something you would like to try out, the whole session is available on YouTube now. Take a look. All you need is A4 paper and pens. The second clip on the theme of uplifting content that we're going to share now is by the Aga Khan Music Program. This session is a journey through Muslim societies to explore the role of music in creating our cultural identity. Behrooz Nishanova, director of the Aga Khan Music Program, discusses the work and ethos of the program, showcasing the ways in which our musical heritages continue to define us.
When it came to culture, I think for the first time in its history, AKDN did not know what to offer because its flagship program, Aga Khan Award for Architecture, had no project that it could readily work with in Central Asia. The same was true for the Historic Cities program. There were no sites that demanded immediate attention of AKDN. Why? Because so many of them were restored without any respect for the traditions that AKDN promulgates and implements. So that was not the case. And at the same time, it became very clear that it was the traditional music of the region and the arts and music education of the region that most required our help. What this tells you is three things. First, music needs to be experienced live and not through a Zoom. And talking about music is very often oxymoron. Second thing it tells you is that there's no such thing as traditional music, world music, pop, rap, classical. There's good music and bad music. And our job is to ensure that good music in the countries in which it originated becomes cool again. When it becomes just as prestigious to carry a rubab or a tanbur or a dutar on one's shoulder as carrying a guitar, then our job will have been done. And the third thing this little clip tells you is that good music is not easily created. It takes time, it takes dedication, it takes skill, and it takes the kind of belief, trust, and patronage that we are so extraordinarily lucky to experience from His Highness the Aga Khan. Without his vision, without his blessing, without his deep understanding of the details of this work, none of this would ever be possible or in existence.
What an inspirational program. This clip was just from part 1. Part 2 covered, amongst other topics, the creation of the Aga Khan Music Awards and where do we go in a post-COVID world. I'd highly recommend it. Definitely worth a watch. So recently, the Ismaili Centre London opened up its Zamana Gallery space to run a rapid flow COVID-19 testing centre. In this clip, we hear from Naushad Jivraj, President of the UK National Council, as well as Councillor Gerard Hargreaves, Mayor of the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea.
Great to be, first of all, it's great to be here today, and I'd like to thank the Ismaili Centre for helping to set up this test centre, which is really important in this part of the borough. And I think some people think as the vaccine is rolling out, we don't need to do the testing anymore, but actually it's even more important now that we keep the testing programme going and we make it as easy as possible for people to do the test. So centres like this where you can come in, do the test very quickly is absolutely crucial. And therefore, we're really grateful for the Ismaili Centre for opening this test centre today.
It's a very proud day today for the Jamaat. This has been a lot of work over a long period of time that has been initiated by the Ismaili Civic team. The relationship that's been built with the Royal Borough of Kensington, Chelsea, and the Mayor of this borough. That relationship has culminated in today opening this testing centre here at the Ismaili Centre. The other thing that I'm really very, very pleased about is the incredible collaboration between our various institutions. So Ismaili Civic, the communications team of the National Council, the legal team of the National Council, the Aga Khan Health Board, the Secretariat, and many, many volunteers who have come together to make this a reality. So, Mubarak to everyone on this.
It's incredible to see Ismaili Civic in action. The numbers of visitors to the centre are increasing daily, and as the country continues to prepare for a number of lockdown restrictions to be lifted in the coming weeks, we anticipate for this number to rise quite rapidly. We are still calling on members of the Jamaat to come forward and volunteer their time as part of this fantastic initiative run by Ismaili Civic in partnership with the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea. Volunteers will be provided with PPE and strict health and safety measures will be in place. If you would like to volunteer, please register through your IIUK account via the website www.iiuk.org. Our next clip is more uplifting content, and this time it's a little more mindful. Your lungs are the key organs that are weakened by coronavirus. Now is the time to explore their full capacity so that you can feel empowered to overcome any strain you might endure. Enjoy breathing techniques designed to achieve greater states of health and vitality. Let's join Rabia, doctor, yoga teacher, and breathwork coach as she helps us to recognize our breathing.
Yalimidad. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Rabia. The average human being takes around 20,000 breaths per day. We shift 2 kilograms of oxygen in and out of our lungs every day. That's around 6 to 10 litres per minute. Of course, the process is normally entirely automatic. After all, it would be such a nuisance if we had to remember to breathe. But what is really unique about breathing as a bodily function is that we can also consciously alter it by bringing attention to our breathing. What's more is that we don't normally notice individual parts of our body until they're not working as well as they should. Cue coronavirus. Follow your own breath, drink the breath in your own time through the nose, inhale deep, pause slightly at the top of the inhale, exhale, allow the air to escape the body, pause slightly, empty lungs, empty breath. Then take the next inhale. Follow the breath for a few seconds, your own breath, 4 parts. Inhale, pause. Exhale, pause.
I don't know about you, but just those few seconds have helped to make me feel a little more relaxed. If you'd like to do the full session, the video is up on YouTube. Now, if all of those clips weren't uplifting enough for you, we'll be ending this week's program with one of the programs shared during the Nowruz celebrations. Nowruz Mubarak from around the world. In this video, we gathered Ismailis from all across our jurisdiction as they wish the Jamaat Nowruz Mubarak in a variety of languages.
Ya Ali Madad, on this special day we wish you happiness, peace and prosperity. Nowruz Mubarak.
We wensen u allen veel gezondheid, vrede en succes op deze mooie dag. Nowruz Mubarak.
Ja Ali Madad, på denne spesielle dagen ønsker vi dere lykke, fred og velstand. Nowruz Mubarak.
Ya Ali Madad, an lá speisialta seo, Gwimid Sunas, Shia Khan, agus Rahunas Dave. Navroz Mubarak.
Yali Madad a tutti, in questo giorno speciale vi auguriamo tanta pace, tanta felicità e prosperità. Nowruz Mubarak.
Dzień dobry, jestem Amin Gilani, jestem za Gujarat, India, mieszkamy Poland. Życzę wam za Nowruz Mubarak, życzę wam dobrego zdrowia. Do zobaczenia, Ya Ali Madad.
Ja, Ali Madad. An diesem besonderen Tag wünschen wir Ihnen Glück, Wohlstand und Frieden. Nowruz Mubarak.
Ja, Ali Madad. Denna speciella dag önskar vi er glädje, fred och framgång. Nowruz Mubarak.
Ja, Ali Madad. På den speciella dag önskar vi er glad, frid och succé. Nowruz Mubarak.
يا علي مدد كل عام وانتم بخير نيروز مبارک.
یالی مدد در این روز مقدس برای شما خوشی، آرامی و سعادت آرزو میکنیم. نوروز مبارک.
या अली मदद આ ખૂબ અવસરે અમે ઈચ્છા કરીએ છીએ કે તમને સુખી સલામત અને આબાદ રાખે. નવરોજ મુબારક.
कैलेंडर एवरीवन, आज के इस प्रभुसरत दिन के मौके पर हमारी दुआ है कि आपको अमन, खुशी और तरक्की हासिल हो. नवरोज मुबारक.
Yali Madad. En cette heureuse occasion, nous vous souhaitons paix, joie et prospérité. Nowruz Mubarak.
Thank you so much for joining as we shared our second edition of Through the Keyhole, a look back at the institutional activity in the last month. We hope you enjoyed it. Keep an eye out for future episodes in the coming months. In the meantime, keep well and stay safe. Ya Ali Madad.